Hey, can you talk? Oh my God, I can't right now. What's up? The craziest thing just happened. I don't know what to do. I know what you should do. Call into Southern Gossip. Talk about it with Stu. Well. Welcome back to episode 10. We're in the double digits, y'all. I haven't given up yet, which is a great segue into what I'm going to talk about for session 1. But holy crap, 10 episodes, 10 weeks. I've been gossiping with y'all, and I was thinking about all the things I hope this podcast can be someday. And it got me thinking about what we're going to gossip about for session 1, which is grit and perseverance. But I have so many big dreams for this podcast, and I've been absorbing so many other like female-led podcasts over the last couple of weeks. And I just wanted to take this moment to just express gratitude for whoever you are that is here. I am just really honored that you give, if this episode is an hour or if it's an hour and 20 minutes, I'm just so honored that you're giving me your time and you're listening to me. Because it's not easy to stick with a podcast. It's not, you got to break it up over, hours listening to it. And we all have such busy lives. And it just means so much to me that you would take the time to listen to what I have to say, support me. And I'm just so happy that you're here. And I hope you stick around. So if you are new here, welcome to Southern Gossip. My name is Stu. I am the solo host of this podcast, which solo podcasting in and of itself is also quite the endeavor. So, but if you are new here, there are 3 gossip sessions, really. So session 1, we talk about something that is, honestly, sometimes I just want to gossip about something kind of surface level. Sometimes I want to talk about something more philosophical, kind of like today's episode about, something like grit and perseverance. Sometimes I might just want to gossip about the housewives. I don't know. I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I feel that it's coming. And then session 2, I have a hotline. So if you haven't called in yet, please call in 413-351-4677 GOSS, where I go through questions from listeners, which I affectionately have named the sippers because they sip the tea, they gossip. So call in if you've got any questions or you want some advice about a topic. I always say, I've lived my 33 years of life. I think I've had a lot of different life experiences. So I will give any pearls of wisdom I may. But yeah, also just call in if you need to vent or you have some tea you want to share, because really the goal of this show is to reclaim gossip and make it not a bad thing. Its original form, it was not a malicious kind of spiteful act. It was a way to connect with each other, to hear each other, see each other. It's a way to connect. And I just want to be a friend. I want to be a friend to my listeners. And I also just kind of want to be somebody you can call that, yes, I want this to be like a parasocial kind of relationship where you feel connected to me. But you can take what I say with a grain of salt. You can just kind of vent and walk away and decide on your own if you want to take my advice or not. But just a safe kind of space for you to do that. So if you are back and you've been a sipper for the last, 10 episodes, I'm so, so happy that you were here. And please, if y'all can, make sure you subscribe to the show. Please leave me comments on Spotify. All that stuff kind of drives engagement as I'm, of course, building this thing from the ground up. And also just share this show, share the number. If your friend has some piping hot tea, you need to be like, call this number right now, please. And I'm just so glad that you are here. And so with that, I am also going to strive to keep my session ones a little bit snappier because I have a feeling, well, not a feeling, I know that I tend to ramble. But what I want to talk about today is something that I feel very passionate about, which is kind of hilarious because it's literally, I think the definition of grit may be that it's where passion and perseverance kind of meet. Um, but grit is something that I think is kind of like an underrated quality that a lot of people almost think of grit as being hard and like tough and the worst parts of life, like having to just grind through the tough moments. And I'm such a firm believer that grit is like one of the most powerful characteristics any person can have. And it's something that I feel like as Southerners, a lot of us have kind of intrinsically. Um, but it's a quality that I feel like I have continued to strive, at least, to hone over the last couple of years. Because really, what grit is it's just sticking with something. It's about continually showing up. And I'm reading this really awesome book right now by Angela Duckworth called Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. And I've just like literally just been dog earing passages from it that I feel like are good sort of like compasses for me to come back to when I'm feeling like I'm struggling. And the reason why I think I keep coming back to this book is because right now, if I'm being so honest, I'm trying to grow this podcast and I'm really trying and experimenting and running ads and, trying to figure out who I can call to get on the show and sort of just building the plane as I'm flying it, as they say. And in my few moments that I've had of like real self-doubt where I'm like, what am I doing? I keep coming back to this book because what it teaches us is that grit is really, it's not perfection. It's about consistency. It's about showing up. And even if, you're practicing every day, just the fact that you made it there is inherently gritty. The fact that you showed up to practice. And like for me, that comes in a lot of different forms. When I think about my career and I think about podcasting, like for me, practicing sometimes can be listening to other female podcasters that host shows that are similar to this and absorbing all of their know-how and their intelligence and studying how they format things and how can I be better. Practice also might be when I'm on creep time and I stumble over my words and I say to myself, okay, next time, try not to say as much. Makes you sound dumb. Try to do X, Y, and Z next time you do the research. And I find that me podcasting in creep time also makes me better on Southern gossip. How do I keep the energy up? How do I keep the topics interesting? And really, it's just about that consistency more than anything. And I can't be perfect and I can't, as a perfectionist myself, and I think I've chilled out a lot. Perfection really isn't the goal. The goal is whatever I have in my mind, which I will tell the sippers, my goal is that one day I get to have people in person that I have for session 3. And they're people that I admire their work, whether they're an actor or an artist or, I would die to have her on someday, the psychologist that wrote this book. But anybody that I just think has something interesting to say and contribute to this world that I want to gossip with them about, the topic at hand. That's my goal. I want this to grow. I want to take it out of this room maybe even one day or have people come here. And I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I do know that all that matters is I stay the course and I just keep trying and going and pivoting. And I feel like a lot of grit also has to do with and it's funny, she kind of outlines, there's 4 pillars of it in the book, which is, oh God, I hope I remember. It's interest, practice, which we were just kind of talking about, purpose. And then the final one, which she says is like the most important component, which is hope, hope is, that's hard to have consistently. Because I think humans, it is in our nature to hope. We want things to go well, but it's very much so in our nature, especially when we're like building something on our own, to question everything we're doing and to doubt. And thankfully, I think out of those four things, hope is something that I have in abundance. Sometimes too much, probably, where I'm like sometimes I will have moments where I'm like, God, I hope that when I log in today on Spotify, this is just going to chart off, like this episode just charted insanely well and for no explicable reason. Now, obviously, that's me being, over the top hopeful, but I think it's that and just having faith that it will go well that keeps me going. But it's also really my grit. And I think that grit is something, again, I don't know if there is any research as to why Southerners, I think, probably have it in spades. But I wanted to gossip about grit with you because, first of all, if you haven't read this book, you should go check it out because it will inspire you if you are going through tough moments. I want you to know that, like, it's what's helping me keep this podcast going is my grit. And if you're somebody that's struggling with career right now, or, I would say grit, I don't see as much in like relationships, because if you're in something bad, you ought to get out. Don't just stick with it. But career, or wanting to be like the very best at something, or school, grit is such a powerful tool. If you can just remind yourself, if you can be kind to yourself and just show up consistently, it's so powerful because eventually things work. And the person I'm going to gossip with for session 3, which I talk about in session 3, we did it kind of backwards today, which I think actually worked well because I did feel like I had exactly kind of what I wanted to say ready to go. But it is my dear friend. His name is Michael, and we grew up together. We did theater together. We went to high school together. We went to college together. And he is an incredibly gritty person. And I told him this. I was like, I don't think I've ever heard you complain once when you are jumping from thing to thing to thing, because he's had pretty incredible like career milestones. And what I mean by that is like he eventually got a job, moved to Spain, fell in love, did a whole long distance relationship, then got married in Spain, kind of had to leave family behind managing those relationships. And then I don't really talk about it with him just because he has to kind of keep things above board, I guess is what you could say. But he has, a pretty important job now and works for the government. And it took him years to get that job, like years and years and years, and failing of exams and trying to get your husband to keep you motivated, all that stuff that nobody sees until they see you in the job. They don't ever see you go through all those struggles. And I guess what hit me is I've never heard him, as being a close friend of his, complain or be pitiful. Is the word, is pitiful. I've never heard him be pitiful about his journey. It's so impressive and it's very inspiring. And hopefully you'll find our conversation, if you are in a just kind of downtrodden place, it'll give you like a little burst of energy. So be sure to stick around for session 3. But that is what I wanted to gossip about for session 1. Definitely check out this book, Grit by Angela Duckworth. It's so good, and it really will be one of those ones. I keep it on my bedside. And I'm sure Andrew's like, I've never seen you read it, but I will just, right before I go to bed, sometimes I'll like go to a passage that I've dog-eared. And sometimes I think it just helps me remember for the next day, like just keep going. So with that, let me take a sip of this Diet Coke. Y'all know Turvis Tumbler today. It's a Diet Coke from Chipotle. It's very sweet. Andrew and I kind of have this rule that if one of us goes and gets fast food, you have to bring the other one back a fountain soda. And I will say, I think it's the secret to a happy relationship. It does make me so ridiculously happy when he's like, "Hey, I got you a fountain soda." I'm like, "Yes. Oh my God. Like I can do this job today." Okay. Anyways, let's talk about the fit, which is going to blend in, isn't it? Okay. This is, oh God, y'all. Okay, let's start with the skirt. I might return this skirt. So y'all weigh in. Should I return it? It is from Aritzia. And I think it's a nice skirt. I think it's nice quality. I think it's very trendy right now to wear these like kind of white prairie skirts, which is probably why I got it. But I was like, how much am I going to wear this thing? I'm not quite sure. And it was like $150. And I'm like, I don't know if that quite fits the bill, but we'll see. So y'all tell me if you think it's worth it to have a white prairie skirt for the summer season. This is okay. These labels, mustard seed. Last time it was mud pie. This is a top for my boutique here in Georgetown, I will say. And I actually looked up this brand because I was like, oh, do they sell it online? I think it's like a wholesale clothing brand. So they like only sell into boutiques and you have to buy it from boutiques. So, but they do have something on their website where you can like look up if you really like this top. You could look up, and I will say I have been wearing the crap out of this thing. Like I literally wore it for like 4 days straight because it's just one of those like super easy breezy summer tops. But you should look up on their website to see if they have a boutique in your area where they sell it. Or you could probably look on like Poshmark or something. I'm sure people are selling mustard seed stuff. And then I have that necklace on that I almost always wear. That is from Catbird from the Michelle Zahner collection. It's like a little seashell. It's adorable. I love it so much. And then these shoes are they're super cute, Saison, which is a French brand that they just opened a store here in Georgetown, but I've had these for a long time. And I will say, Saison shoes, I have another pair. I wear them all the time and they're so comfortable and they're also very like, I don't know what the right word to describe it, but like they look very French, like they look very European. Like their cuts on the shoes are just very like classic, I guess is how I would say. I feel very like Parisian when I wear these shoes, but they go with everything. So, and they still sell them. I got them like 2 years ago, but they still sell them. And then let me just show you this outfit so that you'll see it next time. But I just got it and I won't tell you where it's from just yet, but I wore it to a friend's welcome drinks for her wedding this weekend. And I felt so like cool and kind of fab in it. And it's like one of my favorite outfits that I've gotten in a long time. So I wanted to wear it today. Okay. And with that, let's just keep riding this wave. Let's go straight into session 2. The hotline, babies.
Hi, Sue. It's Dawn from Miami, Florida. First of all, I'm a big creeper, and I just wanted to say congrats on your new show. I'm loving it so far, and I'm sure others are too.
Oh, thanks, Dawn.
My gossip for you today is a little bit spicy, but hopefully, I don't know, maybe you can bleep some words out. Basically, I am a male escort, and my viewpoint on men has changed drastically since starting this work. A lot of them are in committed relationships. You know, they have husbands, wives, girlfriends, whatever have you. And it has really, really changed how I view relationships in this modern day and age. And my second thing I was going to ask, how do you feel about S work? And I guess if you can give me a little hope or maybe your viewpoints on the modern day and age of, you know, dating and if monogamy is still even a real thing. Bye.
Bye, Dawn. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for calling in from Miami, Florida. Monogamy is very much so a real thing. So don't lose faith. I think, this is a loaded one because I mean, I think, in your line of work, you are getting a firsthand glimpse into people that are probably actively seeking to get out of their monogamous relationship. And I'm sure if it's consensual, that's one thing. But a lot of times, I'm sure you've witnessed that it isn't. And I think you just have to decide, since that is kind of your line of work, which, by the way, as long as you are being safe and you are healthy and you are taken care of, I'm totally fine with it. I think, though, if your goal is, I want to be in a monogamous, healthy relationship, you might be actively surrounding yourself with people that aren't in that headspace. And that can be really frustrating, right? That can really affect you in ways that you don't quite process, maybe like while you're in the work, I guess. I mean, it's like anything else in life, right? Like if my job is, I don't know, I'm like a sketch writer or something for comedy, and I am surrounding myself with people that don't have the same sense of humor as me and they think all my jokes suck, then I'm going to start to think that I suck. And that might not be the case. I might just need to be writing with people that are closer to my, genre of humor, right? So I think you just have to make sure that if you stay in this career of S work, that you don't let it completely reframe your way of thinking and your values about love and dating. And I can tell you, as somebody that's in a monogamous relationship that very much so enjoys being in a monogamous relationship. And I think you reap so many benefits from having such a true, faithful partner, that it totally exists. So I'm just here to tell you, yes. And that, there's tons of my friends that have very successful monogamous relationships. Of course there are, and I'm not like Pollyanna over here. There are definitely friends of mine that I've had, and we've talked about on the podcast, had unfaithful monogamous relationships. But really it's just about the quality of the person and trusting your intuition and trusting, your values and trusting that that person will meet your values and then inspire you to be even better than what you hold dear. So hopefully that helps a little bit, but I think you just want to sit down with yourself and really, you know, make sure you are in the right environment that is conducive to helping you find somebody that you want to be with monogamously. Because that can be really hard if you're consistently seeing that in the workplace and then you're going on dates. You could be a little hardened by that and jaded. So just sit with yourself and ask yourself if maybe that's a part of it. And maybe it's not. But hopefully that's helpful. And I really appreciate you calling in. Thank you, Dawn. And keep on listening to Creep Time too. Okay, let's see.
Hi, Sue. My name is Allie. I'm from Idaho.
Hi,
I'm a longtime Creep Time listener, and I'm also a premium. And now I'm a sipper.
Yay!
I'm calling about it was kind of sad. I recently moved. I'm still in the trenches. And it's been really emotional for me. Like, I cry all the time. But I don't know if it's, like, me mentally or if, like, I just need to, like, power through this. So I was hoping that you could maybe send me some tips because I'm way too late to be over prepared. And everything's going wrong in the old place. Like, the fridge went out, and I just feel like I can't get a grip on my emotions. And it could be because I started my period. I was hoping that we could maybe talk about that. Also, some hot tea, I guess. I don't know if it's in our minutes. Probably not. I just also got a brand new job, and my old job keeps saying that I'm recruiting people to leave, but I'm not. I'm just trying to be supportive of my friends that are having a hard time there, and that sucks. So if I could work through that, that would be great. Anyways, thank you so much, Stu. I love you so much, and I'm so proud of you.
Oh, sweet girl. Oh my God, Allie from Idaho. Oh, Lord. Well, honey, take a breath, take a beat. That's a lot going on. You have, what do they always say? They're like, you never want to plan things while you're moving, changing jobs, or getting married. It's like something like that. But you have two of those, 2 out of the 3, check, check. First of all, moving is so stressful. And it's like something that we all know to be true. But until you get to the day where you move, then it all just hits you at once like a freaking tidal wave. So you are totally valid in your emotions and the crying and the period and all the things. Like, we have all been there. Actually, funny enough, when we moved into this place, everything was all right, but we immediately had our heat go out within like the first like day or two, or maybe a couple of days. And it was harrowing to say the least. And I was emotional and I was like, I was angry. Which is also not a helpful emotion when you're already cold. But it's so natural. You're in a new environment, you're in a new space, and that inherently feels like things are a little bit out of control. So just give yourself some grace, babe. Give yourself some grace. I don't know what you need to do to have a little bit of like a self-care moment, but give yourself some grace. And then when it comes to the job stuff, I would say for now, even though you're like, I want to support my friends who are in a bad spot with this, place I used to work, they suck, yada, yada, yada. That's fine. But that might be the layer or the cherry on top of this whole moving situation that is really making you feel emotionally out of whack. So you can be there for your friends, but maybe just pump the brakes on it a little bit. Pump the brakes, tell them you need some time, tell them you understand. But like right now, you got to focus on Allie and you got to just relax a little bit and find pockets to ground yourself and not take on. I don't know if you're a person that takes on everybody's problems, you're a problem solver. You don't need to do that right now. You need to take care of you. You need to feel settled in your new place. And once you do that and you calm down, you regulate a little bit, you'll feel like, okay, I'm not overwhelmed anymore. I can handle this. So you got this. And I hope that was helpful. And don't worry. And also, freaking cry. Freaking vent. Call this podcast. You're doing the thing that I want people to do, which is like, it's okay to be like, I'm losing my mind right now. Like, help. I'm here for you. It's all good.
Hi, Sue. This is Lauren from Dallas, Texas. I need advice because I think I might be the problem in my own dating life. I feel like these days, literally the only way to meet men is the apps. Get on the dating app, match with someone, and immediately feel like this is about to be like the love story of the century. I'm picking outfits, planning the first date, the whole thing. And then literally 36 hours later, I'm bored and mentally unavailable. It's like I go from this could be my husband to I would literally rather stare at a wall in record timing. At this point, I've basically turned dating apps into a hobby where I collect matches like Pokemon and then never even get to battle them. Am I self-sabotaging my way out of actually meeting someone, or do I just need a completely different strategy for dating altogether? Thanks. Bye. Love ya.
Bye. Love you too, Lauren from Dallas. You're self-sabotaging. I hate to tell you that, but you're self-sabotaging because, and I only know that because I've been there. First of all, the apps are hard. The apps are like, it's just so freaking weird because it's like, this is not, how do I even know this is a real person? But yet you're on there too, expecting them to think that about you. And it's just you could be anybody. You can make yourself look like anybody on the apps. And it can all just be very like false advertising, I guess is what I would say. And that makes it really hard to want to show up to the dates. Trust me, I know. I think it took me quite a bit of time after my last big relationship, to like get back on the apps and like actually want to go out with someone. Took me a while. and I would have the same thing where I was like, oh my God, the glow of a match. And then you're like, girl, I cannot tonight. And that's okay. But that is self-sabotage because you are shutting yourself out of opportunities to meet someone who could be amazing. And that is just the reality of it. And that's the game of dating in this modern age, is that the apps suck, but you sort of have to flip the coin of like, you either go on the date and you meet someone amazing, or you go on the date and it sucks. And so you go back to the drawing board. But unfortunately, that's sort of just the world we're in now, because all of us have so much going on. We're so attached to our phones. And I mean, my advice, if you don't want to be on the apps, is really then you have to do, you know, a little bit more work, to be honest, nowadays, which it's the good kind of work, though. It's, the more authentic work where you're like actually out and about trying to meet people and it doesn't feel forced. But unfortunately, our society now is so reluctant to sort of be open to that sort of energy. Like people, it's so sad that people think it's weird to be like approached now. At bars or restaurants or whatever, like people get like their fur up. And I even feel like that in the sense of like when I used to live in New York, dating apps were like still, they had just kind of started really. Like it was very much like the era of like Tinder and whatever. And like I don't even know if Hinge was definitely around when I was there, but it took a couple of years. And now Hinge is all like suited and booted up where you can like upload your voice and you can have all these quizzes and whatever. But I even feel like when I was living in New York, the vibe was still people trying to go out to bars and meet each other. And of course that still exists today, but it feels like it's getting more and more foreign, which is really weird. But also it makes you really cool if you can go do that and not be creepy and be very like authentically open with people. Of course, don't put yourself in weird situations like with creeps out and about, but that's sort of the only other option these days. It's either like you really get out there and you try to talk to people and people are going to be like, why are they talking to me? Like kind of weird. Or you get on the apps, or you have a magical moment where you like stumble into something. And God, I love hearing those stories. But in our modern age, it just feels like they're more and more rare. So I think if you can approach the apps with just such a sense of like, hey, and it kind of ties into what we're talking about with grit today, just showing up and eventually, hopefully, you find the next, person and hopefully like big love of your life because you have shown up enough that you are sort of creating the opportunity for yourself to meet that next great person. And I got really, really lucky. And I will just say this, that the very first person I went on a date with off of the apps was my now person. I was extremely lucky, but I literally, and I've never told him this, and I hope he never hears this, I so cringy made a video before I went out on that date because I was so scared. I was so scared of putting myself out there again. I was like, and I have said this actually to him before and to many friends of mine where I am somebody that wants to be in love. I want to have a family someday. I want all those things. But I had sort of had a moment with myself where I sat myself down. I said, this might not ever happen for you. And you have to be okay with that. And thankfully, I love myself enough that I was like, all right, like if it's you and me, sister, for the rest of our lives, like let's do it. But back to what I was going to say, I made a video where I was like, all right, I'm going on my first date after, a very tumultuous long-term relationship. And I'll let you know how it goes. And this was just to me. I was never going to post this anywhere, but I sort of made it so that as a reminder to myself, if it was terrible, that I still showed up. And then I made a follow-up video to it when I got home that night. And I said to myself, this is so cringy, but I was like, you went on the date and it was really, really nice. And even if it doesn't go anywhere, you did it. And it was awesome. And just be proud of yourself. And I'm actually really happy I made those videos because now it's kind of hilarious to look back on. And it's really special that it like totally worked out and it was like awesome. And now I'm I'm with the person I want to be with forever. But I'm glad I made it because had it not gone that direction, I could refer back to it and be like, it's really not that hard. Like, it's not that scary because I'm like you, Lauren. Like, I can be a self-sabotager where I'm like, like, you know what? I look like crap today. I don't feel good, and come up with every excuse under the sun as to why I won't go. And maybe try that next time. Make a little video where you remind yourself, like, you are, you is kind, you is smart, you is important, you is hot, you is worthy of love, like all those things. And I don't know, just try it. It's cringy as hell, but I feel like it did kind of work for me. And you'll figure it out. But I totally empathize with you. Like the apps, sippers weigh in. I mean, weigh in with your experience with the apps, because they can either be magical or they can be, terrible. And I totally understand that. So all it is though is like consistency. It's about grit. It's about persevering. And also call me back if you go on any dates in the near future with anybody off of these apps and they go really, really well or they go poorly. I do need that tea. Thank you.
Hi, Stu. This is Lola again. I've called in before.
Hi, Lola.
As I mentioned last time I called, I'm originally from New Jersey, but now I live in Florida. I just took a trip home back to New Jersey. And while I was there, I found myself experiencing some family difficulties. I feel like as many people who have like already flown their nest have. Being that I'm 23 still, I'm still on my dad's insurance. The only thing that he still pays for me is like stuff has to do with like medical bills and my therapy. However, he has recently asked me to start paying for this stuff on my own after I recently shared with him, hey, me and my partner are finally in a place where we feel financially comfortable and stable. Might I also add that him and his girlfriend, they live in a condo. They recently got their condo painted. They have a membership to this like really fancy gym. So I don't know if this is him trying to like encourage more independence or if this is him sort of trying to like take his hands off the wheel of parenting. And if so, like, I don't know. I just don't know how to approach this, especially being that, his girlfriend is involved. So if you have any advice on how I should approach this with him and how it makes me feel, I would love to know. Thank you, Stu.
Oh, Lola. Oh my gosh. Well, I have a couple of initial thoughts actually. I think you should ask yourself, if the girlfriend wasn't in the picture, do you think your dad would have pulled the foot off the gas or pumped the brakes, whichever one of those driving metaphors makes more sense? Because if that's true, if you're like, I really feel like he's doing this because of her involvement, then that's a problem. And I don't say that because, I want you to get the money from your dad or whatever. I say that because that could create problems in other aspects of life with your dad. And you just want to kind of like check that kind of quickly and see, what her involvement in this decision was or is. Because you're his daughter and she sounds like she's relatively new to the picture. That's my first thought. My second thought is you need to have a conversation with your dad 100% without her. And you need to, sit him down and just be incredibly honest and just say, Dad, I know that you have been, paying for this stuff and it's been incredibly helpful. And I want you to know how appreciative I am that you've been doing this and how much, my partner and I feel like we're able to kind of get back on our 2 feet because of your help with this. If there is any chance that you could continue to help for just a little bit more, that would be super, helpful for me. I don't want you to feel like you're being taken advantage of. But if there's any sort of like middle ground, this kind of just feels like it's out of left field, or just help me understand your reasoning as to why. Because maybe the reasoning is like, I feel like you need to start paying for things on your own, which like valid. Like all of our parents want us to eventually be financially independent. And that's a very valid concern that your dad might have. And that can open up a conversation, though, that can start a real dialogue between the two of you about, does he think that you're lacking in that department a little bit? And maybe you need to hear from his mouth. So maybe it's a little tough love that you need. You sound very like with it though. And I feel like if that were the case, you would be honest with yourself. I think that you just need to have a very candid conversation without your dad's girlfriend's involvement. And also, I wouldn't be scared because at the end of the day, our parents just want us to be the very best versions of ourselves. And sometimes a parenting decision like pulling the financial rug feels like the right one in the moment. And sometimes your kid needs to be the one to say, like, I feel like I'm going to regress if you really pull back, or like, is there a way we can meet in the middle so I don't feel totally abandoned? Like something like that. Because your parents just want to see you do well. So that would be my little piece of advice. And call back. You're like I think you're my first caller that's ever called back with follow-up tea. So please call back again. I'm so happy. You're sort of my first regular sipper. Okay, I think we have time for one more.
Hi, Stu. So I'm going to try to keep this story very short. So I've been talking to this guy. Before I even continue, he's DL. So
down low.
I'll let you sink that into your brain for a little bit. But I just need some advice because this guy has been saying, you deserve better. And, he's basically trying to break it out because, like, he sees no future in both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the type of person that, like, wants to give him hope. We built such a bond. Like, I feel like this could work. But he doesn't see it that way. And what just sounded really weird is that he kept telling me, like, I deserve somebody better. And I feel like that word is just so and it's just so nasty. And it just makes it to the point where it makes it look like, I don't want to seem like the bad person. So basically what I'm trying to say is, like, how do I move forward from this? Because obviously the damage is already done. He wants nothing to do with me. And I already tried the best that I could to, like, make this work. But, like, is there any type of advice that you could give me to, like, make this, not even make this, but, like, just move on from this? Because it's been almost, like, I want to say, like, a week or two, and it's still, like, lingering into my head. But yeah, this is Samir, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.
Wait, let me get your name at the end. Hold on. Samir. Okay. I'm going to be so real with you, Samir. You got played. And anybody, and this is for you and any sippers, if you are with someone that says, I just don't deserve you, or you deserve so much better, is some bull, because you don't know what I deserve. I know what I deserve. And I don't need to be told how to think, basically. That's what you're saying to someone when you're saying, you deserve so much better. It's like, how do you know? Like, I see you as being worthy of me. And why don't you see it that way? And normally they do. They just are using that as a cop-out 9 times out of 10. Because nobody actually wants to believe that they're not worthy of somebody else. And so I hate to tell you that, but it is such a blessing that this guy is now out of your life, especially because he is DL. I assume that's on the down low, that you were never going to have an honest, open relationship with him until that part got resolved in the first place. And I think you need to feel all the emotions, and I know you're going through it, and I feel like you just got such a end of the stick because you probably were the one, doing a lot of the legwork of that relationship, working around him, trying to make sure he felt safe and taken care of. And I don't know how old you are, Samir, but like, that is not sustainable for a long-term relationship because it's supposed to be a partnership. It's a two-way street. I pull my half, you pull your half, and you can't be the one doing everything. And it sounds like that's what the dynamic was. And then now he's the one that's gotten out of this whole thing unscathed. So I would say channel that sadness into motivation to find someone else to be with eventually, or find something else that gives you purpose, whether that's career or, connecting with family or friends. Throw that energy into something else entirely, because what he does not deserve is for your time to be taken up by continuously thinking about him and how you could have fixed things. You could have never fixed this. When you come to a relationship, you show up wanting to give it your all and be the best version of yourself and be worthy of that other person. And he totally copped out by saying, you deserve better. That's such a cop out. So not to end on a, kind of a tough note with you, but you do deserve so much better. But you don't need to be the one to hear that from him. You need to tell yourself that. And then I think the whole world will really open up for you. So let me know if that's helpful. Hopefully that wasn't too much tough love, but it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to. Okay, so I'm so excited. We're going into session 3. My dear friend, Michael, who I'm about to call, is just like, I think he hung the moon. I think that he is such an impressive person. But like, to me, he is the definition of somebody with a lot of grit and passion and perseverance, and has been such an incredible friend to me like my whole life. But I've watched him through so many different eras, I guess you could say, of his life. I mean, at one point he wanted to be an actor. Then he moved to Spain. Then he fell in love. And then now he's got a pretty top secret job with the government and lives in Costa Rica. And that took him a long time to get there. So he's had so many huge kind of milestones in life that I think are products of his determination and his grit. So I'm so excited to get to talk with him now. Let's jump into session 3. I will say he is in Costa Rica. I don't even know what time it is where he is, but we're going to ask him.
Well, hey, hon.
It worked.
It worked.
I was just saying to the sippers, I was like, I don't even know what time it is where he is. It's like,
there's no time.
There is no time.
It's like Narnia over here.
What time is it actually? I feel like an ass that I don't even know.
It's 3:13, so it's 2 hours behind DC.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yes.
Well, how was your weekend?
It was lovely, celebrating Memorial Day.
All the way in Costa Rica.
All the way in Costa Rica. So bringing Memorial Day to Costa Rica. It's a party. But no, it was lovely.
Oh my God. It looked beautiful from what I could see on Instagram.
Yes, like in the middle of the jungle, like everything here. So it was great. It was
oh my
fun.
God. Okay. Well,
Yes.
This is so funny because this is the first time I'm recording the interview portion first, which is actually, I think it's going to be kind of great, because normally when I get on for the first session, I have the topic in my mind, but then I just start rambling and the train goes off the tracks, and then I'm editing for 3 hours. So
Right.
but I knew what I wanted to talk about with you today. And with the sippers today, what I was thinking about you in the context of it. And it all of a sudden kind of hit me so I want to talk about like grit and perseverance first and foremost, but I was thinking about you in the context of it. And I think you are one of the most impressive friends of mine, first of all, but I quite literally don't think I've ever heard you really complain ever about all of the hard things that you have done and huge kind of like career milestones I feel like you've had. And it just kind of hit me. I was like, I really have never heard you say anything sort of like derogatory about your journey, because you've done, and we're going to talk about it, but you've done so many hard things that I don't think a lot of people would have the gumption to do, like moving to a new country and falling in love with someone and then, having to figure out how to make it work long distance.
Yeah.
And then I thought about, I was like, is it because like maybe Southerners are kind of raised with a little bit more grit? But I guess, I guess I just wanted to ask you, have you always just had that determination? And from what I observed as little kids, I feel like the answer is yes.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you. I don't know if I can live up to that amazing intro, but
It's true though.
But yes, well, I mean, obviously, I do complain. I just maybe save it all for my husband or for him. But I do complain. But I try, of course, not to. I think it's also when you live far away and you come home, when you see your friends and family for a limited amount of time, you don't want to be just the whole time, obviously. Because that's not fun for anybody. But I don't know. I think it could be a Southern thing. I think also similar to you, like coming from a family of entrepreneurs where like my grandfather built a business and my father worked for that business. And then on my mom's side, immigrants and having to come to the United States and start from zero and build up their businesses. I think probably that was just ingrained in me from birth.
Yeah.
That obviously like the cliches of, you can do whatever you want and reach for your dreams and make it happen for yourself. And it is very like saccharine, but it works.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion and in my experience. And so I think it was just like natural in my sense. I never found it like, oh, I'm going to take this big risk and I'm so brave for jumping in head first. No, I just sort of did it.
Yeah.
And maybe I should have thought about it a little bit more. But,
well, backing up to like when you decided to start, so you majored in Spanish, right? And then,
yes.
And then what made you decide like, okay, I want to go all the way to Spain. I want to teach over there for a little bit. And then what made you eventually go back?
Right. So, yes, I majored in Spanish. I, similar to your story, as you know, moved to New York, had these big dreams of acting and Broadway, and then that just went straight down the
I was telling the sippers, we had a similar journey.
Similar journey. Okay, you learn and you
That's
pick
right.
yourself back up. And that's when I said, oh, well, maybe I should actually explore, something that I actually studied and that I'm good at. And so I applied for a master's program in Spain with the idea that I would complete that master's program, move back to the United States, and be like the cool, hip, high school Spanish teacher that everybody loved.
Yes.
And that was like the original idea. And then that also just completely not crashed and burned, but went in a different direction.
Yeah.
And I think that's also something that you have to just sort of follow the current and notice when you see opportunities that maybe you hadn't planned out for yourself, but that suddenly pop up and arise. And you just sort of have to go for it, at least in my case.
Yeah. And can you remind me what made you go back to Spain? Was it purely because you met your husband and you wanted to go back and get a job there?
Right. So during the master's program is when I met him. And of course, we immediately started dating and everything was wonderful. But the program obviously comes to an end. And there's the legal sense that obviously I couldn't remain in Spain. And I had already accepted a job in San Diego, California, for 1 year. And so I also didn't want to go back on that job offer.
Yeah.
So we were long distance for a year from San Diego to Madrid, which was far away. But then at the end of that year, I knew that like there wasn't even like an option in my head to stay in the United States. It was just, okay, I'm moving back to Spain. Like I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to struggle with it. It was an automatic decision. I know that's where I was supposed to be. And, I found a way to make it work so that I could sign up for a program that would give me a visa. And then, of course, we eventually got married and I could stay in Spain, permanently.
Yeah.
But again, it wasn't like I didn't feel myself, wow, I'm this big world traveler and adventurer and I'm taking a risk, even though I was taking a risk, of course.
Yeah. Well,
it was just completely organic.
That's kind of like inherently how I feel about you, though. It's like, and that's kind of what, when I was ruminating about talking about like perseverance with you, I quite literally like, I don't see you sweat ever. So, and I don't know, is that just something is that an organic thing that's just naturally who you are? Or is that like a learned behavior where you just kind of make decisions very like intuitively?
I don't know. I don't know if I purposefully try not to show other people like maybe that I'm nervous or that I'm anxious. Maybe that does happen subconsciously. But honestly, I think it's a first child syndrome situation where I was always from birth just extremely independent, not stubborn or hard headed or anything, just I was doing my own thing. I was the typical kid where my parents never had to tell me, Michael, did you do your homework? Because they knew that it was obviously done.
Yeah.
And they never had to say, oh, did you have when's your next test? Never, ever. They had no idea what was going on because they didn't need to, because I was always just automatically on top of it. And maybe that's just genetic. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I think from there, I would just moving forward make these big decisions about, what am I going to major in? I'm moving to New York. How am I going to sustain myself? Because my parents were not giving me any money to do any of these things. And I think I just made the decision and found a way to make it work without really consulting anyone else, which again, I'm not advertising that you don't consult anyone. Don't come for me. But that's just the way that I operated. And up until now, it's worked.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just going to keep doing that.
It's kind of, I think about you almost like, I feel like my dad always calls it like, and don't take this the wrong way, like the Matilda effect, where it's like, just as a little kid, you were so like motivated and it is interesting because I've never asked you as your friend, like, did you have a mentor really growing up that, because I've always thought about you that way, just ambitious, driven, go, go, go. You're always on to the next thing. So much so, hon, that I can never keep up with you every time. Every time I get somewhere, you're gone. But it's incredible.
But my mother does the same thing. She has no idea what's going on. So I fully understand.
But like, I guess, because sometimes I'll get callers that call in specifically about like career and job switching and like motivation. And as someone who kind of just intrinsically is a very motivated person, like, what would you say to someone who's like, I don't even know where to start, like switching careers or like just how to keep, because, and the other thing I want to talk about is, of course, this job that you have, which I was like, it's top secret. We're not going to go into it. It's top secret. But like, you had to wait such a long time until you got the go ahead that you got the job. And like, just any words of advice about, kind of just persevering or how to self-motivate if you feel, because do you have moments where you aren't motivated?
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah. And how do you get yourself out of it?
I think that, of course, everyone has moments of self-doubt and, lack of motivation, that this is never going to work. I might as well just throw in the towel. And sort of going back to a conversation that you had on an earlier episode with the acting thing, sometimes it is good to throw in that towel.
Yeah.
You've reached a point where you know in your core that this is not going to happen or that maybe it's not meant to happen. But as long as that feeling is not there yet, then you just have to keep going. At least that's the way that I viewed it with this job that now I'm in specifically, that I was thinking back that I started applying to it in 2021.
My God.
I wasn't hired until 2025. So a very long time. But I knew over those years that, of course, I had my ups and downs, but that I was almost motivated more and more and more to keep going.
Yeah.
Whenever I would continually fail, because between 2021 and 2025, with all of the exams, of course, I failed them because that's why it took so long for me to get there.
Yeah. And how many times did you fail?
At least 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
And it is normal, but of course, no one likes to fail. It's not fun.
Well, especially a really high overachiever like you or me.
Right. It's not a pleasant feeling.
Yeah.
But it almost fueled me more, and it convinced me more the more I researched it myself and really dug in and tried to meet others who were maybe doing the same thing and form a community of people who were studying for the same exam, that I knew that this is something that I really wanted. And on top of it, that I would be really good at. And I think with perfectionists, we like to be good at things. And it's sort of like it gives us more motivation when we're good at something.
Yeah.
And so I knew that I would be good at this job, like not to toot my own horn, but I just know that this particular like set of skills, like very Liam Neeson, I have that particular set of skills. And I think that just pushed me more and more and more. And as I got closer and closer and I could see, the little light at the end of the tunnel, that I just knew I had to keep going.
And what do you think is like the most important thing to have around you? Like in those moments of failure, is it like spouse? Is it family? Is it like what keeps you going, would you say?
I think for me, definitely spouse. Not
Yeah.
that my family wasn't supportive, but there was an entire ocean between us. The world of diplomacy is a little vague to most people. But luckily my husband was like more than 1,000% on board. And without that encouragement, I probably would have given up just because, over years and years of continuing to fail, you reach a point where you're like, wait, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
But if you had that voice and I had him in that voice, that just fueled me more.
Oh my God. Well, he's the best.
So,
did you ever say to him, I'm going to quit? And was he like, no, you're not?
I don't think we reached that point, but it was definitely a point of like, I don't know if I can do this one more year. And he would always say, just like, it can't hurt. Take the exam, do it again, and just see what happens.
Yeah. And now you're tanning in Costa Rica.
And here we are in Costa Rica. So there it is.
Okay, last question. What about the acting journey? Like, when did you say, okay, I'm calling it quits now, versus like now in the context of like what you're doing now, what kept you from not quitting this time, but made you quit the first time?
Well, I have a very specific answer for you for the acting. I went to the Broadway dancer call for the Ricky Martin revival of Evita.
Wait, I'm now remembering this. Yes, tell us.
I walked in as like, hey, I'm pretty good at dancing. Like, from our small ass town in North Carolina, like, I'm great at dancing. I'm going to kill this. And like, Evita is not even really a dance show. So like, how hard could it be? And it was a complete, utter and failure. And I walked out of there like, okay, love you, Ricky, but like, this is not for me.
That's so
okay.
funny.
And I wasn't even like devastated because it was one of those things that was so clear, like an Oprah aha moment, that it was like almost positive. Like, oh wow, like I was freed from the burden of this thing that I was trying to make happen. And then now I could explore a different opportunity. And at that moment, I didn't know what it was going to be, but clearly it was meant for a reason. And it, led me down the academic path and then, to where I am today. Yeah.
And I don't know if you feel this way, but for me with the acting stuff, it was like, I just knew I couldn't control the outcome. And I'm not a control-based person, but I was like, I can't stick around and wait to see if someday it happens. Whereas I feel like with what you're doing now, it's like, okay, it's a clear outcome. You take the exam, you pass, you jump through lots of other, logistical hoops, but then eventually the thing will happen. And I always felt like with acting, and it's tough even now. I mean, like with this podcast and stuff, I'm like, I think I can control the outcome, but again, I really don't know. Like, reception is such a hard thing to gauge, and sometimes I feel like I'm just talking into like the microphone and it's going out to nobody. I'm like, I'll just keep sticking with it until something crashes and burns, a la Ricky Martin audition.
Right, a la Ricky Martin. Until you have your Ricky moment, baby, you just keep going.
I'm gonna keep going. Oh my God. Well,
shout out to Ricky if he wants to sponsor this episode.
I'm like, God, I wish I could have seen that production of Evita. Did you ever end up seeing it?
Of course I went to it, yes.
You were like, and the postmortem.
Exactly. I was like, PTSD, but like almost in a good way, because I'm like, they were right. I would not have been able to do that. So props to them.
Oh my God. Well, hon, I love you so much. I'm like, I feel like you have so much like I wish I could just keep you on for like an hour because I feel like you have a lot. I know you were like, I have nothing to say to the sippers. I'm like, yes, you have so much that you could give, I think, as like pieces of advice and words of wisdom. And I feel like I need to call you back and have like 10 more things to ask because
well, of course, whenever you want, I'm happy to do it. I mean, if one big thing that I was thinking about before our conversation is like this idea of you can have it all, and this is going to be a hot take. I don't think you can have it all, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. That there's always going to be something that's a little bit missing, but I think that's what drives you to want to keep going and makes you appreciate what you actually do have. Because if you do end up getting it all, which I don't think anyone has it all, then you don't even like realize that you have it all.
Yeah. You just made me think of the Bethany Frankel quote. She's like, maybe I know it all. I know it all.
Bethany might have it all.
She might have it all. But you know what? I'm so glad you mentioned that because I struggle with that so much where I'm like, especially because I still have never fully jumped out of my corporate job. I've still kept, both podcasts going and I've got a relationship. And I feel like you and I are both probably pretty similar people where it's like, keep all the plates spinning, keep everybody happy, keep life very, very full. But you have to give yourself like a little bit of grace and as a perfectionist and say to yourself, all right, I'm actually not going to do this thing perfectly today. And that's okay. It's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the thing I kind of want to talk about that I'll talk about in the first session of the podcast, but like with grit and in this book I've been reading that it's really not about, showing up perfect every day. It's just about like showing up. And like, that's what's 100%. Grit is just consistency. And it's okay to give it like, have it an 8 out of 10 day, not a 10 out of 10. But as long as you keep doing it, you show up every single day, like you will eventually have success. And I feel like the reason why you are such a great person to talk about this with is because I don't think I've ever seen you stop. I think I have seen you.
You just keep going till you die.
You
baby.
keep going till you die, but you have such a beautiful and like rich life, and it's just I've been so I don't know, like honored as your friend to kind of watch all these different big kind of adventures you've had in life. I mean, Jesus, you're in Costa Rica.
I'm in Costa Rica. Well, I'm thankful that you two, hon, and I'm thankful that I have that core group of friends, literally like 4 people, of which one you are.
Yeah.
That I'm able to carry through all these big adventures, as you say. Because without that core group, I mean, none of this would be as fun or as fulfilling or as lovely if I didn't have those people like you to share it with.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, that just means I got to get down on a plane and get to you before it's
JetBlue, honey.
I'm going to. How hot is it there right now? Is it just super hot and humid?
No, in San Jose, like in the valley, it's fine. But when you're in the jungle, it's humid. Yes.
There's nothing more that I want in this world than for us to be in the jungle together.
We're going to full on jungle adventure and who knows what shenanigans will occur.
And as long as Aaron Farley is in my backpack and we're we're going through the jungle, I'll be fine. Oh my God.
100%. Well, it's like Motorcycle Diaries, baby.
Oh my God, please. Dulcie. Dulcinea. I love all my inside jokes that none of the sippers will get.
That's okay.
That's okay.
It adds a layer of richness.
Exactly. Hopefully she'll be a guest on the podcast one day.
Imagine.
Oh my God.
It's like she's still alive.
I know. Oh my God. Well, I love you so much. Thank you so much for being on this episode. And will you give Jaime a huge hug for me? Hug and a kiss.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's a huge honor. Love you and keep doing what you're doing.
Okay. I'm going to keep doing it, baby.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
Love you so much. Bye. Oh my God. It's so funny. Like even in us talking, you can hear he is so like, and this is how it goes. And this is what you do. And that's kind of it. And it's so, can I just say, refreshing to have a friend like that, because I feel like I look at someone like Michael and he has always been someone I look up to a lot. And it's kind of his ability to not sulk and like be I've never seen him really be like self-loathing, and he has such a resilience to him. And again, a level of like grit and perseverance, and hopefully even just hearing that conversation will give you a boost to be like, okay, I can do anything. Like this guy went from New York acting dreams all the way to Spain, then to California, then back to Spain, and now he's in Costa Rica, and it took him 5 years to get there. And I have never, I swear to God, heard him complain one time throughout any of those journeys, other than, maybe, oh my God, I, bombed that audition or I did whatever. It's never like, oh my God, pity me. I've never heard him be pitiful. And it's such an attractive quality, but it's such a lovely quality to have in a best friend, because it's inspiring. And so I hope that you feel a little bit more inspired and motivated. But for now, I think I'm just going to say, keep on sipping. I'm going to sip on this extra large Diet Coke. These paper straws, so will be the death of me. I think that these should be outlawed, no? Okay. Love y'all. Bye.